Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had an amazing week. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and join the family. So today I want to talk about fibromyalgia and what it's like living with it. So fibromyalgia is defined as a chronic disorder. Chronic meaning long-term, that causes pain and tenderness, fatigue, and it also causes trouble sleeping. And it's a tricky one because scientists themselves don't even quite know what causes it. And it has like a plethora of signs and symptoms as well, such as depression and anxiety, issues with memory, headaches and migraines, which could be brought on by many other things. It's not an easy disorder to diagnose, but they do tend to think that it could be caused by an event that caused physical stress or emotional stress. And they say it typically develops between the ages of 25 and 55. So when it comes to the nature of the pain, words like aching, dull, numbing, burning, tingling, pins and needles, throbbing, pounding, shooting, sharp, stabbing, blinding, knife-like, or needle-like have been used to describe it. Fibromyalgia, unfortunately, is not curable, but it is manageable. And thankfully, it's not life-threatening. It'd be really difficult for me to actually pinpoint when I started to feel the symptoms of having fibromyalgia. But the earliest memory that I can recall is my brother and I used to like play rough and tassel, and he would like grab my arm and things like that. But I used to notice when he would grab my arms that it would be very painful. Like I knew it wasn't like a normal pain. It would be quite painful, and the pain would just stay and ring for longer than would happen with a person that doesn't have fibromyalgia. But I also had other strange pains. Like I would get pain in the core of my chest, like a shooting pain. And I thought at some point that it might be something like angina, because you hear that causes sharp pain. So I would think, oh my goodness, is it? But it wasn't near my heart. It was in the center of my chest, and it would go right through from the front right to the back. And it was such a strange pain, and I couldn't do anything to relieve that pain. I just had to just sort of sit through it and just wait for it to release itself. It was very strange. And even right now as I'm talking to you, I've just pressed my chest, and where I've pressed it, I can feel the pain going straight from the middle right through to the back. It's just, honestly. And there was once an incident where I had I can't even classify what sort of migraine this was that I had, because I've never had it before. I hadn't had it before, and I haven't had it since, thankfully. I think it was about 5 years ago or something, where I was with a friend and we were in a cab, and I had the worst migraine I have ever had. Like it was so blinding that I couldn't think. It honestly felt like someone was literally driving a nail into my head. And I thought I was gonna die. I thought this was just like, it was excruciating. And I had to walk through the hub, because I had to go to the chemist and grab like a strong painkiller as soon as possible. I don't even remember getting from the cab to the chemist. It was wild. Oh my goodness, that pain, it was really bad, very, very bad. I'm glad I've never had it, and I hope I never have it again, but I'm sure that was something that was brought on by fibromyalgia as well. The other thing that started to happen later on, and at this point I still didn't know what was wrong with me, is that so my limbs, my arms and my legs were obviously just getting more sensitive. With my legs, if you just touched them, I would just feel pain. It was just like pain. Like you couldn't, if someone just ran their arm or their hand or fingers up my leg, it was so painful. And at the time I was so stressed out about it, because I thought, well, what is this? Like I can tell that there's something wrong with my body. I don't know what exactly. And when I would go for tests and complain about pain, I was told things like I had high uric acid levels, which later when I got tested in India, it turned out I didn't have high uric acid levels. So that's a whole other story. But I knew that there was something terribly wrong with me, and it was getting worse, and I was really starting to panic. And as a mom, you think about things like what's gonna happen, my kids, my husband. It's just such a scary thought. And at the absolute height of it, I had such bad depression, which actually came on at the time of COVID. I mean, COVID had such a profound effect on all of us. So for me, with my fibromyalgia, it was a wasp. So for me, with my fibromyalgia, that is what really pushed me to the edge. And what started to happen is I started to get like extreme depression. I am typically a very jolly person. I'm very jolly. I'm very happy. I don't function well in a stressful situation. I don't like sitting in a negative space. So that was very strange for me. And I noticed I just started to get more and more depressed to the point that I actually had suicidal thoughts. And I remember panicking and telling everyone around me about it, because I was just like, I was so scared of it. And I just wanted everyone to know, look, this is what I'm feeling. And I want you to know that I'm feeling this way, because it was just the helplessness you feel when your mind goes to that point it's scary. You don't trust yourself with your own life at that point. So about a year and a half ago, this was last year, I think it was April. It was either March or April. My in-laws were wonderful enough to take me along to India because they were going for a health check. And they knew about these issues I'd had with pain, but I think at the time as well, the more pressing thing was I had discovered a lump in my breast, and I'd had a biopsy. And here they sort of came to, it was a bit inconclusive. So they were kind enough to take me along, and I will forever be grateful for that, because that was, that was just a major thing in my life. Spent 2 weeks of just test in India. By the way people do things there is amazing. They're so professional and just so, I can't. It's just, if you can afford it, or maybe it's something that people need to actually work towards and save to a point where they can just go and get a full body check, it is absolutely worth it, honestly. So I got to go and get a vacuum biopsy done on my breast, which thankfully is what they call granulomastitis, which is not cancerous, thank goodness, and with the help of a few steroids that was dealt with. But with regards to my fibromyalgia, I went to see a neurologist, and from within the first 5 minutes of me describing all these things that I had been going through the last few years, she already knew what it was, but of course she had to run some tests, and she sent me immediately to go get my nerves tested. Now, oh my goodness, the testing of the nerves was absolutely, you have to understand, with fibromyalgia, something that could just be a little pinch to somebody and they don't feel anything, for us, when you pinch us, that it feels like someone is literally like dug a knife into our skin. We feel pain on a whole other level. We are just like super sensitive. So the test for this, the nerve test I had to have, was them hooking me up to some wires, some monitors, they sort of basically did it, and they did it on my limbs, my arms and my legs, but they did it one limb at a time. Using some other gadget, she would shoot like some sort of electrical current up my arm. Oh my gosh, I still remember it, because it was like, I imagine that's what it feels like to be electrocuted. She would shoot the electric current up my arm, and a machine would take the reading of what my nerves were doing. The conclusion was that yes, I had fibromyalgia. And what happened is she prescribed some medication for me. There was a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals, which was really amazing, which I could instantly feel the difference in terms of my mood and my energy, because that's another thing that was affected, is my energy. And there was another medication that was meant to deal specifically with my nerves, and it was actually an antidepressant of some kind. And once I was on that, I did it for about 6 months, and I really felt the difference. I was so much happier again. Of course, I guess it was an antidepressant, but still, I'm sure it just balanced a lot of things in my body, because to add to that, I also have like hypothyroidism, which I will make another video about another time. But honestly, like I have like a cocktail of things happening in my body. But thankfully, they're all manageable, and I'm not complaining, because I know others have it far worse than me. I was back to normal. The pain actually started to disappear. My energy levels were back to normal. Everything was just, I was just feeling right again. But after 6 months, and this is the problem with me, I'm a bit of a procrastinator. I had meant to have a video call with the doctor and find out if I was supposed to stay on them, but I was a bit anxious about them because they are an antidepressant. I didn't know if I should stay on them. And on the other hand, I was like, well, what's wrong with being happy the rest of my life? Yeah, I mean, you can see the point there, but I just wasn't sure. So I was supposed to have a meeting with her, and in true Mel fashion, I didn't actually have that video call with her. And so when the drugs ran out, to this day I still haven't gotten them again. And I think I'm also a bit complacent about it, just because I understand what this is now. And it's funny, you get used to living in pain. Like it just becomes something in the distance, and it's only sometimes that I'll feel overwhelmed by it when you have a flare-up, which I'll talk about in a minute. But when I came off that medication, in I think the span of a week, oh my goodness, that drop was very fast and quite steep. my temper one day, I think maybe it was now out of my system, was it would not take much for me to literally just turn into like, luckily not with my kids, but I remember I was having a conversation with someone and my response, I couldn't believe that was me, but really my mood was affected quite a bit. The effect of the pain coming back in my body took a bit longer to come, and even to this day, if I rub my legs, I don't have that pain. I'm kind of on the fence. I will definitely need to have a video call with her, because a year and a half later, I'm actually feeling like I'm struggling a bit. I'm definitely struggling a bit. And in addition to pain, which now so like right now while I'm speaking to you, for example, I have pain in my right leg, and it's just right now it's just like a humming pain. It's just doing that, like a headache in the lower half of my leg, and the section of my chest that I had pressed, the pain has now moved further in, so it's still there, but it's not on the surface. It's gone further in. It's such a strange thing. It's like the pain just rings in your body all day long. And if I knock myself, oh my goodness. At the moment, besides pain, one of the other things that I'm really struggling with is my memory is just really affected. Like I forget things. I forget just daily things, like maybe I'm supposed to make an appointment here or do this there, do that, and I forget. I always forget, and it's so frustrating. In terms of certain things that have happened in the past, I just don't remember. It's like it's blank. So my memory is really terrible, but I probably would benefit from doing things like Sudoku and all these sort of mind exercises. So that's also something I need to look into, but that is one thing I'm really struggling with at the moment. So flare-ups. Flare-ups are basically when something happens that causes all your symptoms to sort of flare up. So like you would, like with a cold, your sinuses will flare up and get inflamed and all these kinds of things. So for me, the things that cause flare-ups are stress. Oh my gosh, and you can imagine, because like in this day and age, everything is stressful, right? Finances are stressful, relationships of all kinds and natures are stressful. This is even why I don't watch news. I don't watch news at all. If there's something that I need to keep or to know about, then I know I'll hear about it from my husband Robert. I just don't. I keep my mind in as positive a space as possible. I've even had to cut people out of my life that affected me negatively, emotionally, and distance myself from certain like very close relationships in my life because they're toxic. And I can't deal with toxic relationships. It manifests physically in my body. And I have kids, I have a husband, I have a life that I need to focus on. I love the saying that the family that you're creating is more important than the family you've come from. And of course, anything and everything outside of that. So for my own sake, I need to make sure that I create as stress-free an environment for myself as possible, because it really, really affects my health. And then also being sick. Like if I get a flu, I get hit hard. Some days I wake up and I'm just exhausted. You wake up and you honestly feel like you've been walking miles, which is again another symptom of fibromyalgia. And you just feel like you can't do anything. You feel so daft, like your body, you just feel so heavy and so tired. So when I get sick, like just a cold, it affects my entire system, and I am tired, exhausted, even aching. Like the aches will come and I'll be throbbing all over the place, not in a way like, not so much like with a fever, but just different parts here and there. Like my ankle may start throbbing, or my wrist may start throbbing. Even things like exercise, it affects your fitness, absolutely, because you don't have the energy and your body feels like it burns out. That's what happens with your nerves. You know what it feels like when you've exercised so hard that your muscles are just aching in pain? I can get to that in just 2 minutes of doing exercise, whatever it is. The burn, it burns that much. But it's definitely something that I know, and from other people's experiences and what I've read and videos that I've watched, it's something I can actually push past. You just need the will to do it. And for me, I know it's a struggle for me, because I'm not a very strong-willed person when it comes to certain things, like myself. But I can do certain things. Like they recommend the best exercises to swim and hydrotherapy, because water is great. It takes the weight off, but you can move in it easily without damaging yourself with your, the weight of your body, and doing things like walking and stuff like that. So I'm fortunate that I live where there's a pool, and one of the things I'm really trying to work on is actually swimming regularly. for that reason. It's something I always try to get on. Goodness, like, God help me. I will get there one day. I'll get there one day. But yeah, if I swam and did sort of water aerobics every day, it would definitely get better. And that's another reason I hadn't gotten on medication yet, is I wanted to see, that if I actually did what I was supposed to do, which I haven't done yet, if I could actually naturally manage fibromyalgia. And they do say that you can. So if I can do it without medication, of course that's the better option. I don't necessarily just want to be on drugs for the rest of my life. If you struggle with fibromyalgia, we're here in it together and we'll get through it. Luckily, there are far worse things. It's difficult to live with, but it's not impossible, and it's not the worst thing to have to deal with. So yeah, I hope I've given you some sort of an insight to what it's like living with fibromyalgia. I think I've covered everything, but if you have any questions about it, please just leave a message, leave a comment down below, and just ask me anything about it, and I will definitely give you the best answer that I can about it. And so thank you so much for watching my video. I hope it was informative, and yeah, just have an amazing and blessed week ahead. And again, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I'd be so happy to have you join the family, and please leave a thumbs up on this video if you liked it and if you thought it was helpful. But thanks again for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.